All right, thanks for joining us here at 7. I'm Jamie Costello. Baltimore Police Commissioner Michael Harrison released a lengthy 163-page response to city council members who 2 weeks ago demanded a short-term crime plan ahead of the official start of summer. Councilman Eric Costello led the charge, designated today as the deadline for receiving the data that they requested. WMAR 2 News' Kendall Green dove into some of that data they shared along with the Baltimore Police Department's strategy.
On May 19th, the request, amid a surging amount of violence across Baltimore, was made publicly by Baltimore City Council members.
The letter to the Baltimore Police Department outlines a request for a short-term crime plan to be delivered to this committee by no later than June 3rd in anticipation of their hearing on June 7th.
And BPD issued their response ahead of the council's budget hearing scheduled to begin Monday. In the response, they shared that much of what was requested is already in progress. The request highlighted a specific need for presence and visibility in the community. BPD reported they're using crime trends over the last 5 years to establish focused patrol areas, deploying a district action team as part of their short-term strategy. The plan they released Friday afternoon laid out tailored coverage to individual districts throughout the city, showing every sector patrol officer's assignments to provide higher visibility and engagement in deployment zones, covering no more than 4 square block areas. The zones they carved out, though they make up roughly 5% of the city's geography, account for about a third of the city's gun violence in the last 5 years. Another concern from council members, spending.
Specifically the utilization of overtime spending.
Harrison says the plan for cutting overtime was already in action, saying, quote, the total overtime spending for sworn members in the department went from $50.6 million in fiscal year 2019 to $43.8 million in fiscal year 2020, which represents a 13% reduction in spending in this category. Still, BPD's short-term crime plan relies on an additional 300 hours of overtime for each district for each week from June to September this year to enhance visibility in foot patrols. The formal request also included info on pulling in state and federal agencies as well.
And making formal requests of our federal and state law enforcement partners to ensure that they're giving us the resources we need.
Councilman Costello stated Thursday he was aware of logistical challenges BPD could face adhering to their request, but said receiving the information ahead of time would benefit all parties.
So I wanted to make sure that myself and my colleagues had some time to look through that plan over the weekend, fully understand it, and develop appropriate questions.
In Baltimore, Kendall Green, WMAR 2 News.
Both the police department and the mayor's office of neighborhood safety engagement submitted written responses ahead of Monday's hearings. And at last check, the request from the state's attorney's office regarding staffing and prosecution data hasn't been received yet. And for a look at all the data that was poured over by our Kendall Green, just go to our website at wmar2news.com.